Whipple Family Misadventures Book 1. Welcome to the Parent of an Alien Hedgehog Club, Chapter 23. It had been 5 days since Wade had seen Pete, and he hadn't seen a hide nor hair of the man. Hopefully, he had done what Wade had requested and had gone back to his life on the other side of the country, without causing any further problems. Thinking of the boys now, Wade wondered if he would ever tell them how close they came to putting themselves in serious danger. Both of them were so oblivious and undisturbed, and had no idea what they almost unleashed. On one hand, it was nice, because they were kids and didn't need to be dealing with heavy stuff like that. But on the other hand, it made him worry. Coming out of his bedroom, Wade went and knocked on their closed door.
Silver, Shadow, you guys in there?
There was General rustling.
Come in.
He opened the door and found himself looking at a massive blanket fort, one that nearly took up the entire bedroom. He could barely see the top of the bunk bed, but that was it. Everything else was hidden by blankets.
Guys?
From somewhere under the blankets, Silver giggled.
What's the password? You gotta have the password to come in.
Grinning in spite of himself, Wade thought for a moment.
Batman?
No.
Fortnite?
No.
Ice cream?
No.
Okay, I give up. What's the password?
You'll never guess.
Obviously.
Shadow stuck his head out.
No, that's the password. You'll never guess. I came up with it.
That's clever.
Wade said, dropping to his knees and crawling under the blanket with them. The two of them could stand easily up and move around in their forts, but Wade had to sit so he didn't knock the entire thing over.
What are you guys doing?
Making our secret hideout base, like how Batman has the Batcave.
Sounds fun.
Wade said and took out an orange pill bottle.
Before you guys go fight against the bad guys, Shadow, you have to take some medicine.
Medicine?
Yeah, for your ankle.
After he had gotten the paperwork back and had the time to actually go through them, Wade had, looking for any clues to what might have happened to Shadow or when he could have broken his ankle. And then he found the answer. It had taken him over an hour to find it, but he finally had. Maddie had been correct. It had never happened. It was a false memory that Gerald had somehow put into his mind. Near the end of the experiment, Gerald mentioned that they had finally figured out how to advance his age perfectly, with side note of how it always scrambled his memory during it, and how it took days for his body and memory to adjust and catch up to his mind, and that they planned to advance him to the age of a teenager soon afterward. But first they wanted to attempt something else. Memory manipulation. The first test they did was making Shadow believe that he had climbed into the lab, fallen and landed on his ankle wrong, breaking it. There was a side note about how that was amusing in and of itself, as he was strong and sturdy enough that a fall like that would not have injured him. Gerald wrote how the first experiment of memory manipulation was a success, as Shadow was limping heavily and barely using his left foot, even saying that he was in pain and uncomfortable, all from an injury that was completely in his mind. The last part of his note was by far the most horrifying. Gerald wrote that with that success, he had 50 more false memories that had been pre-planned, carefully constructed, and were ready to go. No details on what they were, just that they had them prepared and obviously had been planning this for quite some time. Once that was done, Shadow would be aged out for the last time and start training, so the next phase of the plan for his ultimate life form could begin. It had been dated 2 days before the raid on the Ark, and even when Wade looked through everything again, he couldn't find anything saying if Gerald had actually implanted those false memories or not. If he hadn't written it down, or those notes had been lost and were not put in the rest with them. When Wade learned that, it deeply disturbed him. It was the reason that Wade had decided he wouldn't tell Shadow, at least not right now. It was a lie, but a lie of omission, one that needed to be done. Shadow was fragile, still trying to figure everything out, how to adjust in this new world he was in. Even now, looking at him, smiling, playing with his brother, his fur had grown back in, and he looked nothing like that mangy, dirty, scared child that turned up in the middle of the night. He was making slow progress. For the first time, he was acting like a kid and not a scared, traumatized product of someone else's experiment. Wade couldn't take that away from him. Wade would tell him one day, when he was older and mentally stronger, hopefully strong enough that the news wouldn't cause him to have enough mental breakdown. Because right now, it wouldn't help Shadow. Letting him know that his memories could be manipulated, and he had at least one, possibly far more false memories, wouldn't benefit him. Especially since they didn't know if he had those fake memories or not. It would only scare and upset him, making it so he couldn't even trust himself. If that happened, would it cause him to regress and have even more issues?
This will help your foot feel better.
Wade said, holding it out. Obediently, Shadow took the sugar pill from him and swallowed it. Wade didn't know how to treat an injury that didn't even exist, and wasn't even like he could take him down to the therapist's office, although that was honestly what he really needed. But maybe since it was his own mind that thought he was injured, maybe his own mind could believe that it would be healed as well. Maybe if he was told this would make him better, he would believe it. Another lie, but hopefully one that would help him. There were so many people that said don't lie to your children, but none of them had traumatized alien children whose memories had been scrambled and was now struggling to try to pick up the pieces of their broken life.
Do you know what today is?
Wade looked at Silver.
Thursday?
It is Thursday, but it's also 1 month since Silver came to live here with me.
Really?
Silver climbed into Wade's lap and smiled up at him, those eyes shining.
It doesn't feel like that. It feels like it just happened. I'm really glad you came to help me, Dad.
Me too, buddy.
Wade said, cuddling him against his chest.
I'm really happy you two are here. Are you guys?
Silver nodded immediately, but Shadow hesitated, thinking about it.
I'm not sure.
Why is that?
I like being here and, well, okay, I am happy to be here, but I'm not sure if I'm happy overall.
I understand.
Wade said, offering him a hug with one arm and smiling when Shadow accepted it, curling up against his side.
It can be difficult sometimes, but someone once told me something a long time ago. Happiness isn't a place you get to, it's the journey along the way to get there.
Maybe we can help you do that.
That's right, we're a family and we take care of each other.
Okay.
The three of them sat like that for a few moments. Wade still had an arm around each of them and just felt at peace. Finally, after so many days of stress, it was nice to just be able to breathe.
So, I'm going back to work full-time on Monday, but I want to get one last project done this weekend. You guys want to help me?
What is it?
Wade gently lifted him off of his lap and crawled out of their fort, standing up and stretching his cramping muscles before he answered, knowing they were following him.
I want to paint the living room, but first we need to do some stuff to prep it before we can start painting.
Walking out to the living room, with both Hedgehogs behind him, Wade picked up a roll of painter's tape.
Okay, so first we need to put tape on everything that we don't want getting paint on.
He tore off a piece and then carefully put it over the banister.
Like that.
I think we should move the furniture before painting.
We'll do that after we do the tape.
Wade told him and handed the roll of tape to him.
I'll do the high areas and you guys do the low areas, like the banister. We have to do it all the way around the living room.
For a few minutes, there was a comfortable silence as the three of them settled into preparing the living room for paint.
So what do you guys think of Melissa?
Wade asked casually. When he returned from dealing with Pete, everything had seemed to have gone well. Shadow hadn't moved off the couch the whole time he had been gone, and Silver had been happy enough to chatter away with her. For a test run, he had thought it had gone well enough. Shadow blinked, pausing from taking a long strip of tape.
She's fine.
I like her purple hair.
That's well and good, but I meant, did you guys like it when she came over here last weekend? Was she nice?
Shadow shrugged but nodded while Silver confirmed that she was.
Oh good, because like I already mentioned, I'm going back to work next week and I don't want you two here all alone for 8 hours every day. So, what would you think of her coming to hang out with you while I'm at work?
Every day?
Every day, at least for now.
The two of them looked at each other for a moment.
I guess.
Shadow sighed and reached for the roll of tape and went back to his task.
Do you want to go back to work?
It took Wade a moment to think about that. He had enjoyed his time off, especially getting the two of them settled in and on a routine and taken care of. But he also knew that he would eventually get bored of staying home all the time. And there were good parts of going to work, like spending time with other adults.
A little bit, but we'll still have lots of time to do fun stuff on the weekends and such.
Okay.
Silver said, taking the tape from Shadow. Glancing around his living room, Wade could barely believe how much of his life has transformed in the last month. These two alien kids had dropped into his life, and it changed him for the better. Looking down at them now, both sitting on the hard wood of his living room floor and carefully putting tape on the banister, Wade could only smile. He had heard that a parent's love for their child was unlike anything else someone could ever experience, but he didn't believe that until now. Being a dad was extremely difficult sometimes, and it was exhausting and expensive, but also the greatest thing that has ever happened to him, and Wade loved it.